The Hidden City Book Company presents
Buns and Bullets, a Lost Legacies book club.
Yeah. Oh wow.
First off, if it looks like I'm crying, I am. I just put
Because
eye
he
drops
is.
in.
No, you're not supposed to say you just put eye drops in. You're so moved by the text, by the words,
By the passion,
by the passion
of the story.
Exactly.
Yes. This book drove me to tears. Yes. Welcome to our first book club episode. We've been talking about this forever. We're finally here. Sidebar. You might be surprised there is no other Lost Legacies episode this week.
Oh yeah.
Having some work done on the house. Didn't have a lot of time to get dad, so it's just going to be this one. So kind of like feels like a pilot episode.
Ooh. Is that what we're gonna title it? Pilot.
Right? Oh, you know what how I feel about that title. But yeah, so welcome to Buns and Bullets. Why? Because we love alliteration.
It's true.
And we're going to be reading about people with guns and baking. What kind of buns did you think we were talking about, you sick freaks?
Yeah,
you sick freaks.
Sickos. Gosh.
Buns and Bullets. I mean, if there's two words to sum up our show, it's that, you know? But yeah, okay, so first off, before we get into this book, we're going to do actually we're going to do it at the end of the episode, but stick around to the end because we're going to be announcing next month's book club, as well as I'm going to have Sam roll a die to see what movie we're watching next week.
Ooh,
so all of that will be at the end of this episode. So stick around or skip ahead, your choice. Pick your poison. But as far as this goes, I think, was this book club your idea?
No, it was yours.
Was it mine?
Yes.
Oh.
Like most things with this podcast, it was your idea.
Well, I do the most work on it for free, so I could have
I'm not complaining,
I could have swore you said something about a book club and I just ran with it.
I think I may have mentioned like not starting anytime soon, but potentially, because I think we talked about it last year. It's like, hey, what other things do you think we want to do in the future? And yeah, I think we had said eventually probably do like a book club or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and here we are. I mean, to be honest, out of all the ideas I have for this podcast in the Hidden City, we usually only do 1 out of 5 of my ideas. So yeah. So this was the one. Yeah. So our first book. Let's get into it. Tusk Love. Please remind me, how do you pronounce the author's name?
By Thea Guanzon.
Guanzon.
Yes.
Thea Guanzon. Thank you, Thea, for this adventure. I picked this book because of how ridiculous it is. It's called Tusk Love, and also the little backstory. We've talked about this forever on the podcast, but if this is your first episode with us, which it might be because it's the first book club.
Yes, first book club.
Quick history. Yeah. So Tusk Love is owned and operated by Critical Role, which is essentially 10 years ago, bunch of nerdy voice actors in Los Angeles got together to start playing Dungeons and Dragons. And then they had Felicia Day of nerd culture fame. She said, hey, do you want to do a show, like a live show? So they started playing Dungeons and Dragons on camera live, and boom, the show blew up. The rest was history. So in their second campaign, they do this one episode. They go to like a smutty bookshop. Now, I don't know if their dungeon master, Matthew Mercer, I don't know if he had already prepared this smutty bookshop or if he was just thinking of it on the spot. But they go to a smutty bookshop. They're like, "What do I find?" One of the books was called Tusk Love, and he gave a
Hmm.
brief little synopsis, and the players loved it. And throughout that campaign, they kept referencing it and they kept reading it.
Hmm.
And
They would find a copy and then give it to like other characters that they would meet
yeah,
along the way. Yeah.
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 So through time and as the show went on, Critical Role gets more and more popular. They get bigger and bigger, and they end up commissioning, I guess, this novel, Thea Guanzon, to do the novel, the real life novel version of Tusk Love,
Hmm.
and that's how this book came to be, which is just a wild premise of how do you make your smutty book? You
Yeah.
know, how
Yeah.
what was your inspiration behind it? Well, let me tell you, it
It went to
started 10
10 years
years ago.
ago with
Uh
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, so that's kind of the behind the scenes story of how this book came to be. It's the reason, why I wanted to read it, because I've never really read romance books or smutty books, which we'll talk about that term later. But yeah,
Hmm.
so this was a brand new undertaking for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
So yeah, I figured, let's give it a shot. It seems like a fun first one, and it's a a fantasy setting, which is the same setting that they play the game Critical Role in.
Yeah,
So I thought you and I definitely vibe with fantasy. So I'm like, all right, I think that would be a cool first one. So
for sure. Yeah.
just so you know, they do have a book club kit through
Ooh.
Random House Books. So I have it pulled up here, but
Okay.
I figure we'll just talk and discuss it, and then as we go on, maybe we could talk about some of the questions here. I didn't really get to read them ahead of time,
Okay.
so
That's fine.
yeah.
That's totally fine.
But first off, since
Hmm.
I brought this to the pod, let me
Hmm.
start off by asking you, what did you think?
I loved it. I
It
thought it
was
was
fun.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
this was fun. This was a fun time. You
Hmm.
know, uh, I think like definitely the first novel length, like I feel like this is more romantasy, but
Hmm.
then there are the chapters where you're like, whoa, that does get like pretty like hot and heavy. So it's like so
Yeah.
it's weird. It's weird also because this book, if I'm remembering correctly, this book fits in the fantasy section at the books, or at least when we had it at the bookstore. I don't know that it
Oh,
was
really?
in romance. Yeah, maybe it
Oh,
was. Maybe
interesting.
maybe I forgot that. But like this is like heavy on the fantasy, and so especially
Hmm.
since like this is also my first time reading, what I guess would be considered romantasy. Yeah, I was not necessarily taken aback by anything here, but it was mostly like, okay, so like this is kind of what the genre is. It is,
Hmm.
some world building, got some magic going on, it's adventurous, it's swashbuckling, and then when it comes down to it, it is there's yearning. It gets hot and heavy, it's passion,
Hmm.
and I love that there's passion, not just it's not just one-sided passion, and it's not and I know we say that we love it, but in this instance, it's not a toxic romance.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that is a little uncouth, or like it's slightly forbidden, that then fully gives way into like very consensual. I don't know. I loved it. I didn't necessarily know what I was expecting,
Hmm.
but like considering that this is a book that takes place in a fictional world that comes from a fictional world. It's set in, campaign 2 of Critical Role. It's like
Hmm.
this book this book didn't exist until a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it's interesting to come from that perspective, where it's like this is a thing that like like this was kind of like a joke in game. You know, the characters be
Right.
like, "Oh, this is like, oh, I'm reading this one thing. It's about this, and it gets hot and heavy." It's like, wait, are you reading Tusk Love? Yeah, and then everybody
Yeah.
joins in. You know, and
Yeah.
it's like, so it's fascinating to go from like that to physically having the book, or in my
Hmm.
case, like listening to the book. So that's a weird, like, it's a very like interesting meta thing that's happening there.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I'm curious, like if you know nothing about Critical Role, like like what would your like response to this novel be?
yeah.
So I I think the way it's done, like I will agree with you that there's a lot of fantasy. I'm not going to say that it's heavy on the fantasy. There certainly was a lot more than I expected.
Mm,
But like you don't have to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or Critical Role or any of that stuff to get
right.
into it. So
Right.
like I don't know if I feel like I can't answer the that question of like was this really heavy on the fantasy or was it just stuff that I was catching on to?
Hmm.
You know, so they kind of describe the magic. There's very few people in this novel that actually use magic, but the way they describe it, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I'm pretty sure this is this or that. But even I, someone who is familiar with Critical Role and D&D, I don't know for sure, you
Yeah.
know, like what class they were or anything like that. So I think I would hope someone reading this just kind of brushes it, just goes past them like, oh, okay, just takes it for what it is instead of being like confused or like, I wonder what that means or, you know. So that's
Yeah.
something I don't think either of us can answer because we're not coming from that perspective.
Hmm.
But I think at the core of it, the story, the romance was really solid. I was surprised. I won't I won't say disappointed because I liked this book for what it was. I enjoyed Tusk Love. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed at it from like the meta side of it
Okay.
after watching Critical Role and hearing everyone's responses to it in game because it's supposed to be like smut. This is a
Mm.
smutty romance and that's
Like the vibe we got was like wall to wall smut, you know.
well, it's just well that's the thing too like I don't really know what smut is, I guess, because I'm reading this and I'm like
Oh, okay.
and I'm like, dude, like this is solid. Like I love the story, I love the romance, I love the characters, I love the
Hmm.
world building. Like all of this is good. Nothing about it is bad or trashy. Now, if this had come out a couple decades ago, yeah, I could see someone being like, "Oh, this is trashy. There's so
Hmm.
much sex." But I mean, in the year 2026, I'm like, dude, this is like tame compared to Wattpad, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm not saying I'm disappointed that it's not smutty enough, but I made
I
this
don't know.
reference. I made this reference a couple weeks ago when we were talking about genres of movies. And like when you go to watch a Grindhouse movie, you know what to expect from Grindhouse.
Hmm.
You know, I had these kind of ideas of what a smutty novel was, and none of that was in here.
Mm.
I guess you could say like the sex was. I'm like, sure, but again, this is nothing you can't find on Reddit, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, I guess I was expecting something a little more. I'll call it trashy,
Mm.
a little cheesy, and just not good. You know, not good like on purpose. You know, like
Right. 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 Right.
I kind of wanted like the really cheesy but still sexy one-liners. You know,
Mm.
that's kind of what I was hoping for,
Hmm.
especially being a fantasy genre. You know, I think they could have done something with that, but that's not a knock on this novel because that's clearly not what they wanted to do. So,
Right.
from
Right.
our side of it, approaching it from the perspective of like, oh man, they made the smutty novel into a real book. It's like it wasn't really smutty novel at all, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think also it was just very sexually graphic. Yeah, but I don't think it was smutty
Hmm.
because there's also a clear sense of love in this,
Hmm.
and I kind of find that hard to. I guess that could be in smut as well. I don't know. I don't read romance and I don't read smut, so
I mean, to be fair, it like this is still a romance book that still does, involve, sex. Like there,
Mhm.
multiple chapters, where that's happening, but like I feel like I feel like I'm right there with you where it's like in terms of like smut, I don't know I don't know where like the line is because I feel like there's a clear difference between something like this and then
Mhm.
something like uh anything that Katie Roberts writes,
Mhm.
or what's what's the what was that book? Like Early Morning Milking Farm? Just
Just the title alone,
just the
I was like,
title alone,
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
okay, like that book, and I feel like the Katie Roberts books are like more very clearly like,
Mhm.
oh, this is smut. This
Yeah,
is, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, on the Katie Roberts books, they have kind of similar to this, like a very like beautiful woman, but like next to a gargoyle, and like
Sure.
they look sexy, or like a merman, and you're like, okay, yeah, like I know exactly what I'm getting into with this book,
Yeah.
which is not knocking those books at all, but like I think that's what we were expecting from Tusk Love. We were
Sure. I
expecting that like
tried
raunchy sort of book.
I tried reading Ice Planet Barbarian just because a lot of our coworkers were reading it when it came out.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, I can't do it. That's something I could easily say, like this is definitely smutty. And that's someone who didn't finish that book though.
Mm,
But I think not saying that this is true, but I guess from something you would consider smut, I kind of feel like is almost like degrading. Like,
I can see
there
that. Yeah.
you like you want if you want to purposely read smut, you want to feel dirty, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
never really felt that in this, especially because both characters were clearly in love, even if they don't realize it yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think just to wrap up this part of the conversation, I think the problem is we don't have enough experience in either genre, romance or smut, which means we need to
Gotta read more.
read more. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Experiment
Yeah,
more with the genre.
because especially
Got to
like
find that baseline.
outside of like the occasional like Chuck Tingle book, like I think
Mhm.
like the one or two that I've read is probably the only smut that I've ever read. You
And
know?
you see, Chuck Tingle is a very interesting example because he purposely writes bad stuff. You know.
Well, it's not
Well,
really bad though.
I
Like
say
like
that
it's high
that's what
concept.
that.
It's a crazy concept, but like the thing is that like the love is still there. You know?
Well, sure, sure, but I mean that was kind of his whole break into the industry. He's like, I'm just gonna do the craziest, rowdiest thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It very shock value, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And then at like I don't know how good those first books were. I don't know the smut he wrote about Clippy the paperclip. I don't know how much love was in there, you know?
True, true.
Or succession or whatever with which was succession with
Oh,
raptors.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I don't know how much love is in there because I haven't read them, but like I feel like he definitely started off with from a place of parody, almost parody and shock value, and then I don't know, he just kept going, and it's only till recently, as far as I know, where like he's started to separate from that, and now he's writing more. I don't know. I don't want to call it mainstream,
Well, but
but
they are though. They're more
it's
like
not
traditional books.
it's
Yeah.
not a spoof. He's not spoofing anything or poking fun at anything. He's just writing an honest story
Hmm.
on its own without having to do all that other stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. So I was maybe a little more Chuck Tingle. I guess that's what I was expecting from a supposed this is smutty on purpose type book. You know.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
So, but honestly, I think it probably wouldn't have been as good as what we got because I did really enjoy this.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. It's like I
Mhm.
feel like it could have gone, either way, I think. Like it could have been like, oh yeah, like this is really like super like smutty and trashy, and all that stuff, but it's
Mhm.
good. or it could have been, no, we're doing this on purpose, and it's just not as good, you know.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel like 9 times out of 10 when you're doing something like that, I feel like that's going to be the end result. That it's just going to end up not being good, you know. And
Sure, yeah.
especially like, you know, when you're this is, you know, as removed as it is, you know, like just think about all the layers that we had to talk about, like, you know, in terms of like the origins of Tusk Love in game to the book itself as it is now. It's like
Hmm.
there's so many layers removed from it that it's like I feel like you, especially when dealing with a big, you know, IP like Critical Role, you do run the risk a lot of the times of it being like of it being bad, you know,
Hmm.
of it being
Yeah.
bad, like maybe not on purpose, but you know, it just end up not being good or not being received well,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So like the fact that, you know, it is as good as it is and it has garnered the success that it has, I'm like, okay, like, you know, like this is good, like this is kind of the
Yeah.
fairy tale outcome for
And
an
I
IP.
mean, I don't want to talk about like Critical Role too much more, the behind the scenes, but like one thing Critical Role has done that's really paying off is that they're not cutting corners, man. Like if they
Mhm.
want to try something, they go for it. So they went with this author who I'm not familiar with any of her other works, but from what I heard, like this is her thing.
Yeah,
You know, this
yeah,
isn't just some author they found and like, hey, take a crack at it, you know? Or there's
yeah,
so
yeah,
many authors out there who like 90% of what they do is IP focused. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna write this novel set in the Star Wars universe. I'm gonna do five of those just so I can do my one book like every couple
yeah.
of years. You know, so it wasn't that case at all. Like they really wanted to they set out to write a sexy romance book and they did, you know,
Hmm.
so got to give them credit for that. As unfortunately we didn't get any emails, so it's just the two of us in this book club.
Well, okay then.
Because you see, this is why I want emails, because I really want to hear other people's perspectives on this.
Yeah,
I think it was a brilliant move to have the book told from both perspectives of the main characters. It would
definitely.
be a much different story if it was just from Guinevere,
Hmm.
her POV. And I kind of feel like it would be more difficult for you and I to talk about it because it was from Guinevere's perspective only, you know?
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like
Yeah.
I'm able to appreciate it even more because we get to see Oscar's perspective. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh, okay, cool, cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, not saying that like it couldn't be done. I mean, it probably could have, but I think I'm just able to relate more to it. You know,
Okay.
I don't know if relate is the word, but you know, it's just like I don't know. It would have been a whole different story if it was just from Oscar's perspective.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like that it was from both, you know, and I like the tropes of like the differences between the two. You have the innocent, naive Guinevere, and you have the rugged, roguish Oscar.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
I
I
mean, you
love
know,
that.
it's the grumpy sunshine of it all, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I love the one only one bed. I love that trope, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
even like just the character of Guinevere, she was tropey, but they filled her with enough character and just care and kindness that like she was a fully developed person. And I absolutely love that. She was a trope, but she was never a stereotype.
Yeah.
You know, like they really, especially as the book goes on, you know, and you spend
Hmm.
more time with her, and how she tries to justify things, and you start to see how her mind starts changing and shifting, and how she still knows she has this duty she needs to do, but it's just very clever the way the author wrote it, and how it's like, okay, she's changing and she's growing, but not in a way that like betrays the character that's on page one. You know,
Yeah,
it's all
yeah,
very
yeah.
believable, and I like how she was never fully a damsel.
No, no, she never was.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are moments where like there's some situations, but that kind of teeter on it. But especially as the book goes on, you're like, she would have been fine.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely.
kind of like a little I don't know if there's what you would call it, but like a character that's very innocent and naive, but has
Hmm.
a ton of plot armor. Like one of my favorite chapters was early on when she goes shopping with the two like
Oh
gangster
my God.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I was disappointed because like I wanted them to go on the journey with them. I'm like, how fun would that have been?
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that I was missing, it was the sort of like yeah, it was this thing is like we have all these really cool like little like mini characters or like side
Hmm.
characters that are coming
Hmm.
up and we never see them again. It would have been
Yeah.
so cool if like yeah, those two criminals like ended up following them all the way,
Hmm.
to the city or if they met like with if they met up with like the Goblin family again,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. Um I don't know, like I was kind of expecting in my mind something a little and I don't even know if this is right, but like last act of like Labyrinth or last act of The Princess Bride, where
Hmm.
like all the people that we met along the way on our journey, they
Oh,
either gave us
sure.
a boon or they're right there with us storming the Goblin City, storming the
Yeah.
castle, with us as defenses are going off. We're gonna
Hmm.
get a duel with Oscar and whoever,
Hmm.
and like that's kind of what I was hoping for,
Yeah.
So the fact that like it was like so much smaller, I was like, oh, like that
Hmm.
also a choice, also a very interesting choice. And I wonder if that is I wonder how that is like in terms of because I think also that comes from like, okay, that's the fantasy lover in me, like
Sure.
that's me,
You want to build the
wanting,
venturing party and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I want
Yeah.
the swashbuckling, I want all that,
Yeah.
and it's like, which isn't to say that that wasn't always present here, but like this definitely does feel, if you take away the magic, if you take away, the fact that Oscar's green, he's got little tusks,
Hmm.
that some people are goblins, it's like,
Hmm.
okay, like these feel as close to normal people in a fantasy world as I think I've seen in a very long
Right.
time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like I think yeah, Guanzon does do a very good job of like threading that fine line of like, yes, this is a fantasy world. Yes, there is magic. However, this is not Dungeons and Dragons. This is not
Hmm.
these are not the player characters in, a
Yeah.
fantasy game.
Yeah.
These are real people that have limits, that can get hurt, that do get hurt, that yeah,
Hmm.
like the fact that Oscar is not very good at sword fighting, you're just kind of
Hmm.
trained to believe that like you carry swords, like you know how to fight. It's like, and
Sure.
he technically does, but he's up against
Yeah.
all these other assassins that like, oh yeah, like any player in a game will obviously, try to roll and be all cool and badass, do all these moves, and like
Hmm.
Oscar isn't that, you know?
Yeah, and I think the whole point of this was like they had to be off on their own. You
Yeah.
know, that's what pushes, that's what forces like this romance. Forces them into this situation.
Yeah, because even if there was another character around, like if her guards had stayed, with her,
Yeah.
or she met one of her, old associates in one of the cities that they were in.
Hmm.
Yeah, like if she
Yeah.
had escorted, Guinevere and Oscar, like that
Because I
would have
had thought
been
about that,
a different story.
like what you could have done with some of the side characters. It could have been really cool. But at the same time, like the book isn't that long,
Hmm.
and so what what you're given, you want it to be towards the focus, and that's those two characters.
Hmm.
So in the future, sure, I would love to have more characters coming in and out, but like
In Tusk
for
Love 2, that's what I want.
yeah, for this story in particular, like it had to be just them. It had to be that innocent, naive, pure girl with this stranger, with this rugged man out in
Hmm.
the wilderness. You know, that's the
Hmm.
whole concept of the book. And yeah, so I get why they did. I say why they didn't do it as if that was an option. I really think that
Right.
isn't an option. You know, not with this story. If you
Yeah.
wanted to tell a fantasy story, an adventure story, that could have been the way you went. But for a romance, it's like no, we got x hundreds of pages, so we gotta get to it. So, and
Exactly.
especially because this wasn't a book where like, oh, they finally get together at the end. It's
Yeah.
it's like no, we see the before the relationship, all the flirtations, the beginnings of a relationship, just the
Hmm.
physical parts of it, and then we see the actual falling in love, and then we get the they were always butting heads, but now they're really butting heads because they don't know it, but they're in love with each other,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and it's getting to them. They're seeing their flaws and their weaknesses within each other, you know. So you go through that whole thing and the dark night of the soul and the breakup and then the
Hmm.
and then finally at the end it's like the adventure, which honestly I feel like the third act was the weakest part of the book, which
Definitely.
should have been for the fantasy lovers should have been the funnest part because that's
Hmm.
where a lot of the action and the stuff came together. But like yeah. So it's like we got the full thing, and see that's the other thing too. Like as far as the smut stuff goes, like I would you're way into this book by the time they first started hooking up, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
this isn't a smutty novel, you know.
Yeah.
Um, the writing may have been a bit smutty, and I haven't decided yet,
Okay.
but I kind of feel like I even debated if I was going to bring this up on this episode or not, but this is what the book club's
Ooh.
about.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel
Tell me.
like the writing was so much stronger outside of the sex scenes because,
Okay,
well,
okay.
I'll put an asterisk on that because I think it gets there eventually. But like
Hmm.
the first scene, I'm trying to think, is it when they're in the river? I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
I think that's the first time where it actually starts getting graphic. And I kind of pause and step back a little bit, not because I was shocked, but because I felt like the quality of the writing kind of dropped. You know, I
Okay.
mentioned Wattpad earlier. I was like, man, this was really well written, and now it just feels like fan fiction.
Mm.
You know, but then as the story goes on, it starts getting better and better. And I think also the more the love between the characters starts coming in, that starts showing more as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that first scene was just kind of like a shocking in the wrong reasons for me.
Okay.
I was like, okay, interesting.
I was mostly just shocked because, they're, kind of getting it on in the river, and then I was washing dishes at the time. So I was like, whoa, what a cosmic
Whoa.
coincidence is happening here. I'm looking at my plates a
And it's
little
also
differently right
as
now.
someone who's never read anything like this, I didn't know like how many scenes we were gonna get of this, or if it was gonna be the whole book or not. And
Hmm.
I kind of found myself thinking like, man, how many different words can you use to describe this stuff? You know, like
I'm
wow.
sure that is a thing that a lot of romance writers, a lot of erotic writers,
Someone had to have thesaurus.com open the whole
mhm.
time.
Okay,
Uh
sword, member, staff,
Walls was my
walls.
favorite. I was like, oh my
Uh-huh.
god.
Yeah,
We'll spare the details for the listeners. Priests listen to this podcast,
I
for
know.
God's sake.
We did warn you not to
We
listen to
warned you,
this
yeah.
episode.
So. But yeah, by the third scene, it felt more natural, you know.
Can I say something?
Say it.
Out of everything, out of every disappointment that I think we found in the third act, I was disappointed that we didn't get one final sex scene.
Interesting. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, because it's like it ends, right before they get to the city.
Yeah.
That's where like the erotic or the smutty part of the book
Hmm.
ends, and then it just becomes the rest of the book.
I wonder
And
how they would have fit it in though.
I mean, they were done, like I mean, here's the thing, gotta think about this like storytellers or filmmakers. I was thinking they're like saved Oscar saves Guinevere, pulls her out of the water, puts her on the boat, leaves Lord Wensleydale, trudging water, starts rowing to the lighthouse, the island where the lighthouse is.
Hmm.
They can either, reconcile, do it on the boat, or they do it on the beach, under the moonlight, under the
Or
stars,
I was gonna say in the lighthouse.
or in the lighthouse itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You
And it could
know,
be like a cool magic lighthouse because it's a magic world. So it's kind of like instead of
there's
like
nobody
this
there.
yeah, kind of like instead of like the glass they use, it's like a crystal. So like they're reflected
So
over
is
like surrounding themselves.
their silhouette is there, and their love guides the ships in that night.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that would have been a cool place to do it, you know,
Either
like
that, or it's, because they end when they're going back out on the road. And they
yeah,
even, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
they
yeah.
allude to it that, like, hey, like we want to change out of our clothes so that,
Hmm.
we don't get our nice clothes dirty on the road. And
Yeah.
then I think they allude to that, like, right at the very end,
Hmm.
as they're like sneaking off into a bush together. It's like, well, show me what's happening here.
I
We weren't so,
yeah.
we weren't shy before. Like, let's not be shy
Yeah.
now.
I just remember I do have a complaint.
Okay.
It's more of a personal preference,
Okay.
but I was very disappointed with the character of Lord Wensleydale, which is a
Okay.
brilliant name, by the way.
That is a brilliant name, yeah.
But also because you know me and subverting expectations. Like, I really wanted Lord Wensleydale to be like a good guy
Yeah.
because like Oscar just talks shit about this guy the whole book, either out
Yeah.
loud to Gwen's face or in his head. And I'm like, okay, cool. I get the parents' relationship with her and them just being like total trash people. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was they were excellent characters because I hated them so much.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never to the point of like I wasn't enjoying the read, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's like so that was really well done. So like I really wanted Lord Wensleydale to be a good dude because I wanted Guinevere. I wanted the author to force Guinevere to choose. There was no
Mm.
choice. Like she fell in love with Oscar, and it's like okay, cool, but like it's so easy to choose the love of your life, your soulmate, over this walking turd. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
now, to
Yeah.
choose your soulmate over a really solid guy who can provide and care
Mm-hmm.
for you and give
Mm-hmm.
you a life of comfort, that's the choice I wanted. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted her to actually choose Oscar, make it be this a decision instead of like, well, obviously, like no, make her really have to decide between her priorities. What does she want in life? Does she want that life that I mean, I thought it was clever how she picks up that like she's going to be ridiculed her whole life cuz she's lower class, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like I get that. That was a good way to use that in the story, but it's like I mean, I've already said it. Like, no, I wanted her option to be a good life, the dream life, the life I always wanted, the life my parents wanted,
Mm-hmm.
or the love of my life. You
Yeah.
know, that's the choice. That's the sexy choice right there, you know? So, Yeah, that's obviously that's not the route they wanted to go, but also I'm such I'm a fiend for supposedly terrible characters who turn out to be really good,
Yeah.
or really cool, and I'm like, yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. Lord Wensleydale's just, you could still have him be the stuffy upper class like snob, but he didn't have to be cruel. He didn't have to be mean. He could have
Mhm.
had her best intentions the whole time, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
even if he didn't,
mhm. He was
like,
almost villain. He was almost villain territory
yeah,
because like
yeah,
he purposely wanted the jewelry. He even
yeah,
says that's the only reason why I was going to marry you. Why would I lower myself? I'm like, oh, okay, this is just another
yeah,
bad guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Like,
Hmm.
you know, yeah, I'm on board with you with if we had Winsleydale like actually prove himself to be,
Hmm.
not a terrible person. Like you could still have that be his
Hmm.
reasoning of just like technically I wanted to marry you for your dowry, you
Yeah, a
know.
status thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a status thing. It's like it's also this thing where it's like everything happens so fast in that third act, where
It really
it's
did.
like we're here, like we got to the city, we got to the castle,
Hmm.
tomorrow is the ball. I'm like, they mentioned a ball. I'm like, that's peak Dungeons and Dragons experience. That's peak fantasy experience. That's peak
Hmm.
romance right there. It's like everything crazy happens at the ball. What happens at the ball? Nothing. Absolutely
I
nothing.
like what we did get in the ball. I did like because like I said, I like seeing Gwen's inner monologue and just seeing how intelligent she is and she's figuring things out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Okay, I
there
take it
was
back.
good
Not nothing,
there
but
was
yeah.
good stuff there, but
Yeah.
again, by this point in the book, it's like we don't need this because we've known all of this info the whole book. Like there was
Mm-hmm.
nothing new. It just became action, and then you get the random ass villain at the end, which is like, okay, he's like a bird sorcerer guy. And like,
Yeah.
it just seemed very random. Like I was like, all right.
Yeah, I was like,
I wanted
oh, okay.
something like maybe this is just me, but like if you're gonna have romance and a ball, there's gotta be like someone swinging across the chandelier and a sword fight. Like let's really go fantasy into this
Hmm.
fantasy romance. The
My
shattering of the stained glass windows as they escape.
yeah.
Like I don't
My
know.
my immediate thought when they were saying like Lord Winsleydale wasn't there, amongst all
Mhm.
like the guests and stuff. My immediate thought was like, oh, he's the villain. Like he
I
sent
think
out the
that would have
men.
been a better thing.
Like in my mind, it would have been like, okay, like he hired the assassins because
Yeah.
he doesn't want to marry Lowborn, but he still wants the gems. So what better way,
Yeah.
to he gets the best of both worlds. He doesn't have to marry somebody of low status and he gets the
Hmm.
jewelry. Then they
Hmm.
find out about the key. Well, now I need her alive. So, like just go back and forth.
Sure.
Like that was my thinking, like have him be the I don't even remember his name, but like the villain in Frozen, like he's just a twist villain, but like
Oh
we didn't
yeah.
know that, he's there pledging his love, he's the love interest for most of it, and then right at the third act is like, nope, I'm the bad guy, I want you dead. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, that to me would have felt more interesting, and I feel like it would have also saved like Gwen's parents could have still, you know, said that, oh yeah, I took this from a sorcerer, and all this stuff. It's like, but the sorcerer didn't need to come back, like that didn't
Yeah,
need to be the act like
especially
chasing them,
especially because it was such a random character and there was nothing really
there was nothing to
unique.
allude to him.
There's nothing unique about him. Like visually, he sounded cool, like a bird person, but I'm like, meh.
Yeah,
It felt like a generic villain. And I'm like, you could have made
there's no like,
Winsleydale the villain just because he was so just like from that last scene. I'm like, man, this guy's cruel. He's bad. Like he would have made a
yeah,
better villain than the sorcerer.
it's like there's no thematic purpose for this guy to be the villain.
Yeah,
Especially like
yeah, exactly.
especially where we start getting critiques of the upper class from Gwen. Because like
Hmm.
we're kind of expecting it from Oscar because it's like,
Yeah.
that's not his world. Everybody does look at him differently. We're like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, obviously this dude's gonna hate like the higher status, but
Hmm.
Gwen's fighting to get back there, and then it isn't until she's there where she realizes that like, wait a second, this isn't gonna be how I want it. Like my eyes are open, like
Right.
she's woke now.
Oh God.
She's a
Yeah.
she's a commie now, and she's like, I hate
Yeah.
the aristocracy. I don't want
Yeah.
any part of this. But yeah,
So
like so having the villain be somebody who does represent that, while also trying to
yeah.
be the romantic rival of Oscar. I'm like, well, there you
Yeah.
go. And then they have a hot sword fight as the boat is burning down.
Yeah.
You know?
So so yeah, I mean, and that's it. That's if you want to make Wensleydale the villain. I think he would have made a much better villain than Birdman.
Hmm.
But also like to my other idea of having him not be a villain, but just an actually good guy. The whole time I was picturing because I don't know if they mentioned the age. They say like he's not as old as like Oscar was expecting. But I was I was picturing Simon Russell Beale from Penny Dreadful, Lyle, Ferdinand Lyle. I was like
Oh,
this little short, flamboyant, very very gay man, and I,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the whole
yeah,
time I'm like that's Lord Wensleydale for sure. He's like he's just marrying you for the status thing,
yeah,
but like he's not a cruel person, and he would be a kind husband, horrible lover. That's
yeah, yeah.
that's who I kind of wanted Wensleydale to be,
Hmm.
because like he can't offer you love, but he can offer you all of your dreams and that comfort. And if this status is so important to you, and this what I don't know, this level or this station in life is so important to you. It's
Yeah,
important to your family because they're pieces of shit. Is it important to
yeah,
you? If it is, then this is your path. If it's not, it's like your soulmate's right there. That's what I wanted. So,
yeah, yeah.
that's not the route they went, but they didn't ask us to write the novel. If they had, it wouldn't have been as sexy. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, it probably would
I,
have been as
yeah.
sexy. Um,
And
I would I would have got way too caught up on the lore, and
lore, the fantasy, because there's really
hmm
cool stuff, and I wanted to know more about certain things. But
hmm
do you? Again, I'm not familiar with this genre. Do men write novels like this?
a part of me wants to say yes.
Hmm.
I don't know for sure.
Because
But
I'm just thinking,
like
like, how would it be different? Like, how? Because this is a book where you get both characters' perspectives. But I'm
mhm,
like, I don't know. Like, if someone came to me to write this story, I'm like, I don't know how I would do it.
mhm,
And I think the main part of it is the power dynamics. The
mhm.
naive innocent girl with the rugged guy who clearly knows what he's doing with a blade and in bed. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how I could write that without it being creepy. So
Yeah. Or without it being, very like male gazy and like, kind of like exploitative, because it's like,
yeah,
you know, the the thing about this, and I think the thing that separates this, to make it a romantasy is that like we do get to see both of them struggle with their feelings and their
right.
urges, and saying like, look, like, Guinevere is checking out Oscar, like he's ripped, he's toned, he's a
Yeah.
handsome guy for a half work, or whatever.
Right,
And
right.
then obviously, like, Oscar's very attracted to Guinevere, but says like, hey, like she's a rich brat, like I don't want any part of this, and then as the story goes,
Hmm.
it's like we're spending time with each other. It's like, well, and I think it's
Yeah, but I
exact.
mean, there's a lot of male gazing from his perspective too, though.
True, but
So
but that's the thing. It's like that's why I don't think this is exploitative in any ways. That like they're
mhm.
both gazing at each other.
Sure,
Like we're
yeah,
getting
yeah,
both perspectives. I think I I think the pitfall that happens when you have men writing romance is that it usually is one-sided, or it usually is shown from one perspective, and I think that's just true, not just within a romantic genre, but like just thinking about any of the books that I've read, or any of the movies that I've seen, where it's just like clearly men were the forefront creative forces behind this. It's
Sure.
like, yeah, like there is a difference, in how that aspect of the story is told.
Yeah.
And some people do it better than others, but I feel like oftentimes, men trying to write, like an awesome, like it tends to become a power fantasy at some point,
I think what the thing is I don't know if I'm talking about something different than you, or if this is the root of what you're trying to get to, but I don't think there's a problem with men writing a story like this. I think where the
Sure.
issue is with men writing women characters.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
because that's especially as a writer myself. I'm not published or anything yet, if there's any takers out there. But
Uh-huh.
like, so for me, if I'm gonna write a female character, 9 out of 10 times, well, this doesn't even have to do with gender. Most of my characters are just like different facets of me, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe I will do something a little more tropey, but I can't tell you how many scripts I've written where I changed the gender of like one of the main characters, you
Mm.
know?
Hmm.
Especially because I think for me it's very easy to write myself as like the transplant character. Like,
Yeah.
this is the main character. And then I'm like, I don't know why this script isn't working. And then I realize, oh, he's got to be she. I got to change the genders. And then once
Mm.
you do that, it changes everything. And it's not that like, oh, I'm going to have to rewrite everything now from a
Hmm.
woman's perspective. No, I just leave it the same. The same. It's just like, okay, now I feel like I understand the character more. It's
Mm.
the whole
Okay.
aliens and Ripley thing. They didn't have genders assigned to those characters. They just were.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that's that's not how I go into a project, but that's usually what happens. Even if it's
Okay.
not the main character, maybe the love interest or the best friend, like the gender always gets swapped at some point because it's just not working.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
So, but yeah, I think men writing women is where it's difficult, because I don't see a problem with a man, like if a man wrote this book and wrote Oscar the way he was, I really don't see any difference.
Yeah.
But I could see a guy struggling to write Guinevere's perspective, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
especially in this case when, look, both characters are horny as hell, you know, and the way the author describes Gwen in her inner monologue, it's not something you're used to seeing outside of this genre. It's
Hmm.
like, man, that's kind of male gazy of her. You know what I mean? Like looking at
Yeah.
his ripped body and the sweat glistening off his pecs.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't think that was anywhere in the book, but I'm summing it up.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? So, but like, it fit, and maybe it was just, I don't know if it was the case of like, how would a guy write this, or not write this, but how would a guy like assigning gender to I guess a style. This is how men describe women in books. Lev
Mm.
Grossman.
Yeah.
Lev Grossman. Uh,
Eesh.
now let's do that for the exact same thing from the woman's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Or like Michael
so
Crichton in Jurassic Park, just constantly talking about Ellie Sattler's legs. Just
really?
constantly. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's like yeah, it gets to the point where you're like, all right, dude, we get it.
She's got legs.
She's got legs, like most of
Yeah.
the people here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just
Oh,
like,
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get,
Well,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
because after I finished this, I was thinking, man, I would like to see like do a challenge, like a writing challenge, something like this, or because we say it's power dynamics because Oscar clearly is in charge and he's the dominant one,
Hmm.
but but at the same time, like this guy, as cranky and angry as he is, he's simping hard. So like I don't really think he was the
Yeah.
dom in this relationship. It was pretty equal, you know what I mean? It's just he was
Yeah.
more experienced.
Yeah.
So it was there were power dynamics, but it wasn't too much power dynamics, you know, especially once they're already they don't admit it, but they're already in love and it's more of a relationship. Dude,
Hmm.
he's gonna do anything for Gwen. Like he's gonna wear the wreath of flowers. You know,
Yeah.
he's gonna be
Yeah.
angry about it, but like he's gonna do anything for this girl. You know, so it's not the traditional like toxic power dynamics.
Hmm.
And I think if you're a lesser author than Thea, you could accidentally cross that line somewhere
Yeah.
easily. But yeah, like I said, I would love to see a power dynamics challenge. Like, okay, in this case, I think you get two authors, two straight authors, male, female, write the scene where the man is the dominant one, and just see the differences. Just give them the same backstory, the same details on the characters. Like, okay, this is the scene you're writing. Their
Yeah.
first night together, intimately. Let's see what's the differences of this, and then give them like a week to ponder it, and then come back and then do the exact same thing. But Guinevere's the dominant one. You know, she's
Hmm.
still young and naive, but now she's dominant in this scene. So, because I'm really curious to see like that perspective, you know, how the scene will change
Hmm.
realistically. You need to do like a test pool of like 100 authors to really
Oh
understand.
wow.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like
Sure.
because you know not all men write the same, not all women write the same. So you would really need a larger pool. But I'm
Hmm.
just like as a thought experiment, like how would they approach this differently?
Hmm.
You know, I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just food for thought. I'll
Just
write
what
it
we like here
myself.
on Buns and Bullets.
Buns and bullets. That's right. So something we haven't talked about at all.
Hmm.
Tynid. What the hell was that about?
Oh yeah.
That's like barely even addressed. It keeps popping up throughout the story, but it's like it never really. I thought that was gonna tie into the jewelry somehow. Never did.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
wonder. I do wonder if you know if there is gonna if there are gonna be more books.
well, I was gonna say, all I'm looking through this book club kit. All the questions are very generic and boring. But the very
Okay.
last question is, if this book were part of a series, would you read the next book?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I would.
It's got
I
to be
love these
different
two.
because the characters are in a different place now. But yes, I want to know more about Tynid and what that whole relationship, like how that happened.
Yeah.
Oscar's got to go visit his mom's village.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oscar's now have the Oscar, the guy who was abandoned by his father, now has to figure out what it means to be like a husband or a man in a relationship, you know what I mean? And who
Mm-hmm.
knows, maybe this book or the next one, they have a kid and now he needs to figure out, well, how do I raise a kid? You
Yeah.
know, all I
Yeah.
know is what my mom did, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that can be an interesting thing. And we could actually see Gwen dealing with the fact that she's no longer living the life of privilege anymore. She actually has to wade through the muck, you know,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
I don't know, and discover her powers. I'm like, dude, that's that's what we're here for, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I want. I want her
Yeah.
to be a powerful, badass, like fire sorcerer, and then
Hmm.
also still make a face when she has to wash the dishes. Because if that ain't true to life, then I
Yeah.
don't know what is.
Yeah.
I really loved that, where they after they were with like the goblin encampment, they had like a really
Hmm.
nice like party that night. Like they both go to wash the dishes and Gwen is just like, I'm trying very hard not to say anything about it and I'm trying to be polite. And then Oscar definitely is just like,
Hmm.
wow, you
Oh,
know,
because they don't use water. They use the ash from the fire.
No, they don't use soap. They use
Oh
the
yeah,
ash from the
they use
fire.
water but no soap. They use the ash. I'm like, oh dude, that's awesome. I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um,
I don't know. Yeah, for sure. 100% I'd read another one.
yeah, there's so much. I wonder if that was on purpose. You know, there's so much more story between these two that you can mine. Like, and that
Yeah.
I'm down for.
Yeah.
So, any last words? I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I want to read more fantasy. I want to read more romance. I want to read more fantasy romance.
Yeah.
And just like in a year from now, see how I still feel about this one.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I thought it was cute. The sex scenes were sexy, but I never felt like it was smutty. You know,
Hmm.
I would like to get more into the world of the magic. You know, and
Hmm.
kind of find out just more because again, like coming from D&D and Critical Role's perspective, like I have an idea of how this stuff is working, but to actually have it in a new medium, in a novel, let's see how they describe it. See
Yeah.
what this is.
Well, and that
Um,
and I wonder too if that's part of the reason why like you and I were pretty like on board, with it because like we already know that like okay, like this comes from Critical Role. Like we already know we're
mhm.
dealing vaguely what sort of like
Yeah.
magical system we're using. But, I have seen that as like a complaint from people very recently, with the two like big Hermione fanfic books that got turned into
Yeah.
traditional books. I did hear that as like a complaint where it was like you could tell that a lot of this was you could tell that this was set in intellectual property
Hmm.
that then had to change a whole bunch of stuff, and it's like when you're dealing with that, and also I think it's different too because like this isn't fan fiction.
Right.
This is a book that was, commissioned, by
Hmm.
artists,
Hmm.
and all of that. Whereas like the Hermione stuff is, fan fiction that then had to be changed to, fit a more traditional mold. And so I wonder if that's a part of it too, where it's like as you're writing fanfic, you're already like filling in a lot of the gaps because you're assuming that people are also familiar with the world,
Yeah.
that you're writing in.
So
So
if you
then when you
change it
have
to
to
something
change that,
original, there's holes and
there are
gaps.
holes
Yeah.
and gaps that you have to like, oh, wait a second, like I don't think I can do that, or like, oh, did I explain? Like, yeah. So I wonder
Yeah.
if that's the thing too. And I'm just using those two as like the biggest examples because
Right.
that's where I heard like that issue in. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm curious like how, I don't know that these books are for me, but
Mhm.
like like the Sarah J. Mass books.
Mhm.
Like I wonder how they like handle the fantasy and the romance
Yeah.
and the sex, cuz I mean, and those are like the biggest ones like within the genre, and yeah, so like so I am curious and I might dip my toe into that world.
So we got a fairly large order at the bookstore the other day,
Okay.
and there was an extra box that we did not
Okay.
order,
Okay.
filled with Sarah J. Maas. And I'm like, I
Wow.
don't know what number the series is. It's probably
Hmm.
number two, but I'm like, take it to the club.
I don't think it's number two at all, Matt.
What do you mean?
I I think it's what in her series?
Yeah, I don't know which one it is. I
Yeah, it's
know she
probably
has a
like
lot.
9 or 10. Like,
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know which one it is because it's not hardcover, so it's not the new one, but
oh,
it could
okay.
be any one of them.
Oh, okay, okay.
So, yep. All in all, great time. I loved
Great
it. I had
time.
a blast.
Yeah.
I highly recommend just looking up Tusk Love Book Club because
Mhm.
you'll get the kit from Random House Books. That's where you'll get the two wallpapers we have behind us. If you see the one behind me, that is clearly Guinevere and Oscar. The one
Mhm.
behind Sam is the characters from Critical Role. It's
Mhm.
Jester imagining Ford as Oscar. She
Yes.
even calls him Oscar in the game sometimes. So,
Hmm.
but also in the book club kit, you'll get a Critical Role Tusk Love one shot, which is a quick short little D&D game you can run based off of Tusk Love.
Wow. I love that.
Excuse me. They also you'll get a link to the Spotify playlist that they made for Tusk Love.
Ooh.
I would need to look through these. I don't recognize. Oh, Passion Pit, Monsters and Men, the cast of Glee,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Taylor Swift. Oh, there's a Halsey on here. Okay, I have
Okay.
to go check this out. Interesting. Hosier. And then they have the recipe for black moss cupcakes.
Ooh.
That sounds fun.
That does sound fun.
Yeah. Ooh, and Dust of Deliciousness, also a recipe.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Maybe this is going to be part of the book club. We have to choose books specifically that have a food thing, and then we eat the
Buns. That's where the
food.
buns.
That's where the
We
buns
were
come
talking
from.
about baking.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Uh-huh. And
okay.
you love
I
baking. So
was
there you
being
go.
sarcastic because I was talking about butt cheeks, but maybe it is guns and baking after all. Okay.
But,
Buns can mean any
it can
number of
mean a
things.
number of things. Yeah. Yeah. And bullets can be metaphors.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. They can also be very real. Yeah.
Nothing hurts more than a bullet through the heart. Yeah. Well, that was fun. I like this. I think our discussion was a lot more interesting than any of the questions that was in this kit.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, it was very bland. What did you think of this? Who is your favorite side character? Blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. I was there for
Yeah.
the romance, the love.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, absolutely loved it. So, listeners, watchers,
Hell yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it too. Um, was disappointed that we didn't get any book club emails. Lost Legacies podcast at gmail.com. However, we have a month until we do this again. Let's see our cutoff date, March 25th.
March
Okay,
25th. Okay.
so it's gonna be a quick month by the time this episode airs. So,
That's okay.
yeah. So Sam, what are we reading next month?
Now, I know that this is usually the usual format is of this show is that one of us brings something that the other hasn't seen before. And so we're like, okay, like we're like that's how we're gonna do it. We did that with Lost. We did that with Andor. Like that
Mhm.
was the thing. And there have been times where we have broken that and just brought things that neither one of us has seen, but we're fascinated. And we want to do that. That's technically Tusk Love. Neither one of us had read this before.
Right.
So we're also breaking with tradition because, if I'm remembering correctly, you have also read this book,
Hmm.
but I want to bring it because this is part of my bid to also eventually get through the rest of the books in the series so that you can also read them and we can talk about them. So, buckle up everyone because we're trading in our swords and our fire magic and our dust of deliciousness, baked goods and all that. We're trading all this fluff, cold, dense harshness of space. The only thing that exists out there is death and those that worship it. Specifically, the lesbians that worship it. That's right, everybody. Next book club we're talking about is Gideon the Ninth.
This whole time I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I've read this before. Yes, I have read Gideon the Ninth when it first came
Yes.
out. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you what it's about because
That, yeah.
it's a wild one, but there's goth lesbians in space, and I
Yep.
can't wait to read it again.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right,
So,
everyone. You have until March 25th to send in any comments, questions, or concerns about
Hmm.
Gideon the Ninth. This is going to be a fun one.
And no spoilers if you've read the series, no spoilers in your questions, please.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Hmm.
because this is the first of four, right?
Yes, yes, this is the
Okay.
first of four, and the fourth one has not come out yet. So
Okay.
yeah,
As for next week, we're jumping back into the movies. Sam, do you have a
woohoo!
D20 on you?
I do not. I d- you
I
told me
guess
while we were recording, and I was like, "Well, I can't get up and go grab one right now."
I guess I'll roll for it.
Thank you.
Okay, hang on. I gotta roll. Warm it up.
Yeah, warm it up for me, please. Yeah. What are my options? You have 20 options or
Oh, I
no?
have more than 20. Okay,
Oh
blowing the
God.
dice for luck. Ah, hot dog. Here we go.
How'd you know what I had for dinner?
Number 10. I'm
Ooh, that's good.
excited.
10, that's a pass.
Oh, okay. Well, crap. I'm going to leave this one to you because
Uh-oh.
number 10 is not a film, it's a director. I have never seen any of this director's movies, even though they're highly recommended. I want you to pick my first Miyazaki film.
Oh my God. Oh, this is too much pressure. Um, there were two right off the bat that I was like, crap, I think Matt has to watch these. Now, do I go with the one that I'm like, I think you would favor more? Or do I go with the one that's my favorite?
Ooh, interesting.
Oh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. I'm gonna need you to roll that die again.
Oh, crap. Okay. What do you
Yeah.
want? Odds and
Uh,
evens?
sure. Odds and evens. We'll do
All
that.
right. That's an even. That's an even 18.
All right. It's meant to be. Buckle up, everybody. Matt's first Hayao Miyazaki movie is gonna be my favorite, Kiki's Delivery Service.
Nice. I've always heard of it, and of course, I've always heard of Miyazaki. I've just never
Hell yeah.
watched. I haven't seen a single thing.
The other one
So,
was gonna be Porco Rosso because I think that's a quintessential.
yeah.
That's a very like honestly, I feel like that's a dad film. Dad would love that movie. I think
Mm-hmm.
mom and dad would both enjoy that. Um,
Nice.
and it is a little more adventurous,
Hmm.
but definitely I think Kiki's is gonna be a good. I
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like it.
And the best part about this is that I have a list of 20, and I mean, Miyazaki's going to stay on that list, I guess. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
So,
We got a lot to choose from.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. All right. So, next week, we are watching Kiki's Delivery Service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we'll see you. The first Wednesday of the month is book club. So, that'll be first Wednesday of April. Actually, April 1st will be book
Ooh,
club.
there you go.
So, yeah. And so, everyone, do we need a different sign off for the book club?
Ooh, I guess so.
You don't have to take my word for it. I don't know.
uh,
Is that the Reading Rainbow one?
yeah,
Reading Rainbow?
yeah.
Yeah. Engage.
You do have to take my word for it, all
You do
right?
have to take my.
Yeah. Take this.
Take this. In the spirit of Buns and Bullets, until we see you next time, keep toasting those buns. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you got to email us our new sign off.
Yeah, email us ideas.